We have already talked about the advantage and some good examples of the privatization. Now we are going to talk about how to make it work. The privatization itself is a good concept, and it has been proved that privatized firms benefit the public more than state-owned enterprises. There are two tools to ensure that the benefit of the privatization is fully utilized. That what means being able to benefit all stakeholders fairly. First is the strong regulation, and second is the public-private partnership. First, the strong regulation is there to facilitate and support all stakeholders, whether the supplier of good or service or the consumer. Second, it ensures that the good or service at least meet the standard or in some case improve the life of consumer. And finally, it protects the right of the consumer from some supplier focused only on the profitability. For example, in Ghana, Africa, in the 90s, when the government privatized the water supply without strong regulation, it led to the skyrocketing water charge, which was almost double the price than before the privatization. As a result, people were not able to access this fundamental life necessity. And the reason of this problem was because of the bribery, the weak regulations, and therefore there was no regulation enforcement. This is one of the grey areas to be careful when we implement the concept of privatization. Another example of the lack of regulation was in Pakistan, where the lack of regulation presented an opportunity for the multinational company to take advantage of the privatization. Nestlé was one of the biggest water manufacturers in the world, which they had 67 factories around Pakistan, pumping in spring water, bottled and sold them to 160 countries around the world. And the cost of the water itself was zero due to the unregulated underground water. There is a good example of the regulated privatization that brings prosperity to the nation and the people. In Thailand, the biggest privatization of the PTT, the state-owned oil and gas company, is a classic case. Now PTT generates the revenue more than 95 billion USD per year, and the majority of the profit go back to the government spending. There are many CSR projects under the brand, provide the nation's energy security, offer the market rate for local gas consumer, and boost economy and build jobs. We have talked about the strong regulation as the first tool to ensure that the implementation of the concept of the privatization works. Now, we introduce the second tool or the alternative to make the privatization work, the public-private partnership. The public-private partnership is an excellent tool because, first, it can finance the massive investment when the local government is not able to. Second, it builds and maintains the infrastructure like road, water supply system, and electricity to the consumer. And third, it ensures the efficiency of the investment because it is managed by the private and professional. There are three advantages of the public-private partnership. First, the ownership remains to the nations. Second, the risk and responsibility is shared to the right hand. And third and most importantly, the profit is shared. With that said, this is one of the great examples of how the public-private partnership concept has been successfully benefit all stakeholders. In Seattle, Washington, the city needed new water system and a better quality water. The public-private partnership approach was a chosen option. The local Seattle Public Utility partnered with the leading water system technology company, creating new facility which provides the grid water to the people with new filtrated methods that have been researched and developed. On the commercial side, this public-private partnership saved over $50 million compared to the original state-owned approach. To sum up, privatization can boost economy. The fact remains in 3 points. First, privatization does not carry the sin initially. Instead, privatized firms often outperform state-owned companies. Second, it is the way to implement privatization that partially affects the outcome. Finally, the success of privatization depends on the institutional environment. Here's the strength of government, regulations, and laws.
Created using Powtoon.